Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NECC Rocket League playoffs. It is quarterfinal time, and it is time for us to continue through this East Champions League with Potomac State versus Fanshawe. My name is Bass from the past, and joined alongside me is the one, the only Stage Games. Stage, how are you doing on this fine afternoon, my friend?
I am feeling wonderful, Bass. I am getting the opportunity of watching NECC history in the making. This quarterfinals, getting the opportunity to dictate which of these two teams is going to be playing against St. Clair in the semis. An absolutely monstrous team, but neither of these two are slouches either. Potomac State College and Fanshawe, both of which have had kind of middling seasons, but are really, really strong teams, only losing against some of these absolute monsters.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of these teams have been extremely strong throughout the season. Fanshawe finished at 3-6, while Potomac State finished off at 6-3. A little bit of a mix match between the two of them, but they're both very, very strong teams that have made their way into the playoffs, have done so very, very confidently, and I do think are going to have some really, really strong performances here in playoffs. One of the more interesting things to sort of note, though, is that Fanshawe definitely started the season a little bit stronger, but since they took their loss against Potomac State, they've only taken one win besides that. They lost to Potomac State, lost to Nichols, lost to St. Clair, and lost to Durham, but were able to take a win against King's College in that time. Meanwhile, on the other side of it, Potomac State, they haven't necessarily had a perfect run either. After facing off against Fanshawe, they took the win there. They lost to Durham, lost to Montclair, and then finished out the season taking wins against Nichols and then King's Red. So both of these guys have had a little bit of an up and down towards the second half of the season, but now is when it all really counts. It doesn't matter what you did a couple games ago, a couple weeks ago. It's now or never. This is playoff time, and it is single elimination. You don't perform in this game, that's the end of the road.
You know, Bass, I always like to talk about momentum. I always like to talk about a Rocket League set being all about, the morale factor, getting the games out ahead, turning it into just a snowball in one game of just a flurry of goals. Then it turns into the next game, turns into everything downstream from there. But even in set play, even in a league, you can still run into that momentum problem as well. And I think that one of the big skills you need is the ability to reset. So if you're having a season that starts to go downhill, you have to find the point at which you can just say enough is enough, and then reset, find your base, find your skill sets again, and tear off with it. So when you're a playoffs team, when you're now in the quarterfinals, this is the absolute point in time. You have to find that within you and reset.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of the biggest things here is the mental tenacity for a bunch of these teams. And that's especially poignant here at the highest divisions. In Champions League, if you are not able to keep yourself in the series mentally, the other team will recognize that and pounce within seconds. And that's something that you just cannot afford. You need to be able to play all 5 of these games if it goes that far to the best of your abilities. Slacking for even a moment can cost you not only a game, but can cost you the series. And it's something we've seen before. It's something we will most likely see again. The question is, do we see this in this series? This is going to be a very, very close one, to put it simply. I have a feeling that this could go those 5 games, but we're really going to have to find out. The teams have hit the pitch. Potomac in the blue, Fanshawe in the orange. Good luck to both teams. 5 minutes on the clock. Let's see what they've got.
Already off the wall for Potomac, setting that in towards net, looking for the flip reset, stuffed at the goal line. Tony is taking it away, tries to break past the defender, but WVU is up in the air for it already. Rott's taking it to midfield, finds goal food. Going to get a brief moment for Kanaric to send that one downfield. A lot of control, though, so far. I am liking the aggression from West Virginia.
Yeah, so far so good. The aggression that we are seeing from Potomac has definitely put themselves in a little bit of an advantage right now, but still at a 0-0 scoreline, there really isn't an advantage going heavily enough in either favor. Just a bit of back and forth here. Good midfield presence, though, from Fanshawe is going to give them a little bit of a stop to the counterattack, but possibly only momentarily. Goal food. Wait a minute, that's going in? 1-0, all of a sudden, Potomac score a goal out of nowhere.
Yeah, Potomac have been so good about catching these rotations early and making things just a little bit awkward, but I think the server had a bit of a hiccup there. That's the only thing that can explain that to me.
I have a ton of questions for what just happened there. Kenrick has been a very, very solid player the entire season. To see them make a mistake like that to start off with, I have to imagine it is nerves. If nothing else, Wait, what?
Oh my lord, the own goal on this one, actually. Goal food just tips that in, but Tony's is the real play there. His nose catches the ball, and it's he's just not quite able to take that one out the corner.
I am a little bit confused at the way that this one is starting off. We mentioned going into this, hey, if you fall asleep for a moment, all of a sudden the other team is going to pounce. And, well, it seems like Fanshawe fell asleep for 2 moments, possibly 3 now as they're overextended. Boxes has to rush back. But Fanshawe, they're not prepared. Everybody off of Potomac came into this game full guns blazing. Meanwhile, Fanshawe are just trying to climb back up here. Sage, this is one of the most chaotic starts to a game I've ever seen, and I have a feeling the chaos isn't quite over.
the chaos is definitely not over, and this chaos is benefiting Potomac so much just because they're able to read it faster, and their hits are wild in a good way. They're so hard to read. Rod's going to be going over, sets it in towards center, no one able to pick it up yet, but still, Potomac is in a lot of... I wouldn't say they're in control of the match. I'd say they're reading and embracing the chaos better.
Yeah, that's sometimes what it is just two teams that are going to play through the chaos, and whichever one can find the light at the end of the tunnel first is going to be the one to climb on out. 2 own goals in 2 minutes. This might be an NECC first.
Oh, that is just absolutely brutal to see. Cherry-picked by your own team on the goal line. A heartbreaker for sure. Fanshawe, we talked about that mental tenacity earlier. They're going to need it here to come back from 2 own goals.
Yeah, this is chaotic, to put it simply. They're really going to need to try and bring this one back. Even getting themselves a single goal here in game number 1 is going to be huge for their confidence, huge for the momentum, because as it stands right now, it may not necessarily be that they're just playing as a better team, but no, please not a 3rd own goal. Okay. Oh my gosh, I thought we were going to see another one staged. I at that point, I feel like, do we just like turn off the cast and walk away? Because there's no predictions we can do at that point. That's just kind of, chaos reigns supreme.
We don't have to make predictions at that point because it's obvious that there's no predictability in this game. It's just pure reflex. And Potomac is coming away a little bit better overall. I guess that's what you got to do when it is all chaos, when it is all havoc, is just be able to respond to it better, be able to see things faster. And right now, Fanshawe still struggling to get it out of their own backfield. They're on every ball, but it seems like there's just a magnet for these 50-50s. And Potomac almost getting another opportunity there, but clearing it away. Oh, no, the goalpost is such a 4th player for Fanshawe there, keeping it out of their own net.
They'll take whatever they can get at this point. They need to try and hold down a solid defense, and not only that, they now need to try and turn this into an efficient offense here. With about 100 seconds left on the clock, there is still somewhat a chance that they could bring this one back, but the biggest thing they need to do is not only get some offense together, but they really cannot afford another goal out of Potomac, and as Potomac are eyeing that up, back on offense one more time, they need to be careful. Breaking out here like Kenrick is doing is going to be absolutely crucial. Question is can they bring this into a greater offense and actually get a goal to show for it?
Right now, it's not looking that way, though. Fanshawe is still on the back foot, trying to get the boost control, trying to get it out of their own backfield, but there is so much fancy footwork, so much mental game from PSC, from Potomac. And Fanshawe, they're doing everything right, but they're not coming away with the ball, so something's got to change here in the last minute. It's not going to be that, as that shot is deflected away by Goalfood, and Potomac is going to move back to the offense.
Potomac, who kind of just moving all around this pitch right now, controlling the pace of play. Meanwhile, Fanshawe are just trying to get touches in when they can. Maybe they can try and turn this into a greater offense here. Tony puts this one up. Kenrick is there. The shot is on target, but Rots will make the save. Not only makes the save, but perfectly passes it to Goalfood, who will clear it out to midfield and buy a little bit of relief of pressure, but it's not enough of a relief that Rots won't have to make the save. 3rd save for Rots, picking up that savior medal. And this is part of the issue right now. Potomac are not only being a really strong team on offense, we're taking advantage of the misplays that we see on defense as they score another goal, but their defense is just as solid to boot, playing both halves of the pitch phenomenally so far.
Oh, I mean, if you ignore the own goals, I think this is a case of Fanshawe are doing everything right. They're playing the game the way you're supposed to. They're in the right spots, but Potomac is doing things more than right. They're not only making the solid plays, they're coming out there, they're forcing the overextensions, they're putting you in situations where you don't want to be, and even if you're doing what you're supposed to, if you make a single mistake, Potomac will open it up to get the 5-0.
Oh my word, starting off in this game with an absolute statement, not only taking the definitive victory, but a solo play to finish it off at 0 seconds. Goalfood just proving once and for all that if you're going to try and beat Potomac, you have to play to the best of your abilities every single second. And that is exactly what we have to see if there's a chance for Fanshawe to bring this one back. A very one-sided game number 1 with double the amount of shots going to Potomac versus Fanshawe. This is one of those things where you'd imagine, oh yeah, Fanshawe probably had the majority of saves as well because, you know, they were on their back heel. They did not. They shot, or they were out-saved by 3 times the amount. 6 total saves to Potomac, 2 saves to Fanshawe. Fanshawe in no part of the stat line was able to take an advantage, and that was kind of the concern for the entire game. They really never looked like they were in favor.
No, it definitely didn't look like they had any favor or control overall. I think the big thing to think about here, too, is that Fanshawe, they had 6 shots on goal, but there are 6 saves for Potomac. That's the biggest factor in this because of the fact it means that even if you're creating those threats, this isn't enough in the Challengers division to make the bronze or silver advice of just put the ball on target. You've got to create threats. Sometimes that means putting the ball off target intentionally, drawing the defense. Sometimes it means putting a boomer on target. But this is definitely one where Potomac was doing that a million times better than Fanshawe.
Yeah, 100%. That was the biggest thing there is that everything that Fanshawe was trying to get done, Potomac were actually doing. And that's part of the biggest issue here is that if you do not have that consistency, teams are going to run straight on through you. They're going to act like a train with no brakes and just keep on chugging along. And I have a feeling that's what Potomac are going to do in game number 2 if Fanshawe cannot come back with a different game plan. As it stands right now, what they were doing in game number 1, they were just getting beat in every instance. They need to have a different attack. They need to have a different defense altogether. And I'm not quite sure what they need to do specifically, but we're going to have to find out if they indeed do have the answers. 5 minutes on the clock. Game number 2 underway. And already Potomac back off to an explosive start. Goldfood can't get the shot on target, but as you can see, they are not slowing down whatsoever.
And Tony's going to get that out of the backfield, though. Pretty clean pass to Ken Eric. However, it's not going to connect as that demo is there to break up the play. Fanshawe trying to get control in their own backfield. A little bit of physicality, a little bit of slow play. I think Fanshawe wants to play a little bit more metered of a game here. As Box is off the corner, not on target, but trying to stretch that defense, not capitalizing just yet. And oh no, Rots with the solo beat, a high flick follow-up. That is a textbook one-on-one beat.
Oh my gosh, that was absolutely filthy. Rots took less than a second to recognize the challenge, flicked it sky high, and then finished the shot off 1-0. And Potomac continuing to assert their dominance here. Something needs to change for Fanshawe as it stands right now. They are just getting trounced upon on repeat. They have these offensive pushes that don't turn into anything. Meanwhile, on the other end, when Potomac get into offense, they do damage almost every single time. Only a minute into this game and they're already up by 1. Oh, make it up by 2. No, I spoke too soon. Kenrick does get in the way and makes a phenomenal save. And maybe that can be the turnaround point. Now we can see that defensive efficiency that we were hoping for. The question is can they turn this into a quick counterattack? Double commits out of midfield are not going to help them. And there goes the relief of pressure once again.
I feel like if we were watching Drop Shot, the damage would just be all over Fanshawe's side of the field because their ball is never given any space on Potomac's. In fact, Rod's looking for another shot, gets stuffed out in the line, but there's no big clear, and it's still keeping the pressure on in Fanshawe's side. Way high up, but stuffed down. Goldfood's actually going to put a threat on. It's not there yet, but he squishies away, and Rods follows up to seal the deal.
Oh my word, that demo in the net was disgusting. Zuro just comes through there and makes sure to take out any of the possible defense. We were saying the defense was starting to get stronger for Fanshawe, but unfortunately, if there is no defense, so they can't really perform that strongly. So it becomes Potomac continuing to just have incredible offensive efficiency. And with 2 minutes gone and a 2-0 deficit, I'm starting to worry that Fanshawe are not making the necessary changes to try and starve off this offense.
This is so brutal to watch because I'm trying to think about the adjustments that Fanshawe could be making in their play, but this is just all about placement from Potomac, and that's a really invisible facet to the game. Every time that there's an approach being made, Potomac is putting the ball in a place that is extremely hard to clear away from. You're not getting any of the clears off the backboard that you can usually do. You don't get the opportunity of making a bounce clear. Every time that you touch the ball on defense, you're not getting any power behind it.
Unfortunately not. They're really not able to connect as a unit right now. Meanwhile, look how many touches in a row Potomac are getting before someone interrupts them. Finally, boxes get in the way, but the issue right now is that Potomac, they feel incredibly comfortable, and if you're playing well and also feeling comfortable, it's going to be very, very, very hard to try and catch them off guard and find a place to sneak in an efficient shot. Double commitments like that out of midfield are really not going to help. There needs to be some better organization from everybody off of Fanshawe. As it stands stands right now, their opponents are way too comfortable, and if they do not do something to try and put them off kilter, to try and put them off balance, it's just going to be more goals on more goals, unless Gold Food puts it sky high. Rots will clean it up. For a second, I was worried, but to be honest, I don't know if I should ever be worried. This offense is just electric right now.
Bass, this is a hat trick for Rots and a playmaker for Goal Food. The dynamic duo does not miss a connection. They are out of the newspapers. That misconnections field is completely empty.
They're just doing a great job so far. And, well, here comes another one. This time, it's not going to be Gold Food picking up the assist. It'll be a Zero, but Gold Food will pick up their first goal of the game. This is also one of the most impressive parts about their entire game right now. At 4 goals, they have 4 assists on them. It really is showing how well they are linking as a team.
Absolutely, and that comes down to more than anything, a lot of control. It comes down to recognizing where your teammates are in the field. It comes down to comms. Oh, what a save. That might actually be something for Fanshawe, but they can't beat the races. And sending it deep downfield, Potomac wants to widen the gap to make parity with the last game, bring it possibly to a 5-0. It's still got a ways to go. But that is ultimately what we're looking at, though, is just the teamwork, the communication, everything from Potomac is so crisp, so clean, and it turns this into a game where everything is connected. You get all of those repeated touches that you were talking about. And I don't think we've seen them double commit a single time on Potomac.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, is that Potomac really hasn't been making many glaring mistakes, and that's a huge issue. At this type of level, you kind of have to wait for a mistake or force a mistake out of your opponent, and if that doesn't arrive, what are you really supposed to do? Well, for Fanshawe, I think the first thing that they really need to do is try and just keep playing up to this pace and not try and break down. The awkwardness from plays like that out of Kenrick, where he just breaks down all of a sudden, doesn't necessarily keep up the pace of play, is where we've seen the vulnerability start to build, and Potomac are taking full advantage of that. As it stands right now, a big thing to note, Fanshawe hasn't scored a goal this entire series. They need to get some sort of momentum in their favor. I don't care if it's the sloppiest goal on the planet. As long as they get one, that can start the comeback. But without getting any sort of confidence on offense, this is not a doable game to win.
Absolutely not. And I mean, it seems obvious when you say it. You can't win a game without scoring a goal. But even more than that, it's the confidence factor, where if you haven't put a goal away on Fanshawe, you're going to feel constricted and confined to your own half of the field. You're going to feel like you're on defense forever. And that's just not a mentality that you really can have if you want to be winning, if you want to make this kind of reverse sweep.
Yeah, 100%. They need to have better mental tenacity right now, and that's just one of the biggest things that we talk about, I would say pretty much at any level of Rocket League, is being able to keep yourself in a series mentally and playing throughout the 5 games at the best of your ability. Because again, it's not easy to make a reverse sweep. I am very well aware. I don't think I've ever been able to pull it off in any of my six-mans or any of the sort of, smaller tournaments I've played in, but it's possible. It is very, 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 very doable. You just need to believe that you can do that. And as it stands right now, Fanshawe just seem like the wind is getting taken out of their sails on repeat. And every time that it looks like there's a little bit of confidence that might show through, Potomac shut that down within an instant. Fanshawe needs to play a little bit tougher right now. If they can just try and hold on to that little bit of momentum that they have and run with it, there's a chance they can bring this one back.
Now, I think that if I was going to make one suggestion to Fanshawe here, it's actually a really, really simple one. Turn your music off, turn your Discord volume up, and just start talking more. Because honestly, I think that might be the way for them to get back into this. It removes the double commits. Just keep your comms clean, but don't get so frustrated. Take a deep breath, turn your Discord volume up, and just play the game that you know how to play.
100%. That's one of the biggest things is communication between these teams, because I think that a huge reason that Fanshawe have been so disrupted is the double commits like that. Kenrick and I believe it was Tony both going for the same ball, and already you're seeing a perfect example of what you're talking about, Stage. They need to make sure that they are playing as a unit. Like we're seeing here, Zero passes his back. Gold Food is very prepared for the pass back. It does not necessarily go their way, but because they're communicating stuff like that, they're at least prepared for the inevitable offense.
The offense is coming out for Fanshawe. They're at least trying to stretch this defense, but they're not getting a clean shot so far. This is just a matter of time until something breaks down. Not a clean shot by Tony's, and Rotz is just going to have all the room in the world to take that one down past midfield. Still digging it back into Potomac's territory. There's finally the beat all the way down to Fanshawe's corner. And this is the offensive opportunity that Potomac have been waiting so patiently for this game.
Question is now, though, is can Fanshawe withstand this pressure? Most of the time when we see this offense build, eventually it results in a goal. If they can withstand it and turn it into an offense themselves, that's already a massive improvement. I think they just might be able to. Tony wants a double tap, but it's off target. For the first time all series, we finally see a dazzling play out of Fanshawe, but it is unfortunately just off target.
Rotz high towards the corner, out towards mid. Not going to be able to get that one by. Double save. This could be the play, too. Box is in position. It's the first goal for Fanshawe.
Finally, they get it, and it's on the back of Tony's 2 great saves in a row. I cannot believe the defensive effort we are seeing out of Fanshawe. They finally are able to withstand the pressure, and not only that, they counterattack within seconds. This is the turnaround we have been waiting for, and this might also be the wake-up call that Potomac need. Before this, they were playing decent defense, but nothing spectacular. Now they might need to start buckling down.
However, Potomac trying to get the counterattack. That one's not going to be on target just yet. Tony's really finds his, gets his hands warmed up at this point, and Tony's has been trying to make a lot of the plays, a lot of the clears that have been missing for Fanshawe. But Potomac is doing their best to lock that down. It's so difficult to get that ball clear. Oh, hello, Azuro.
Well, and there, unfortunately, it goes. Despite a solid defense for Fanshawe, they start to break down for even a second. Kenrick's just a little bit too far off the line, and Azuro will take full advantage of that. That is, unfortunately, sort of the trend right now. Any sort of vulnerability that we see out of Fanshawe, everyone off of Potomac are taking full advantage of that. They need to be very careful here. We've said it enough times this cast that it should be drilled into their heads. If they fall asleep and act like they aren't going to win this for even a moment, that's the end of the series.
You cannot lose confidence. You cannot lose focus. I think, honestly, the shots that we're seeing out of Potomac are the ones where even I'm letting my eyes glaze over a little bit, and then there's a shot from out of nowhere. So if Fanshawe's doing the same thing I am, that is the problem. That's when you're letting your guard down, and you cannot afford to do that for a fraction of a second at the Challengers Division level.
No, you cannot. Oh, my word. Because if you fall asleep, you're going to miss a goal like this. Gold Food puts one off the bar like a bullet. Great pass from Rotz, but the shot is absolutely top quality.
A pristine bar down for Potomac. And now Fanshawe, they got the opening play of this game, but they have still consistently struggled. And this does not look like it's going to develop into one that is a threat just yet. Kenrick stalling that one near the corner. This could be a lot of room. Box is going to find the connection off the backboard down, but the defense is stellar for Potomac. 4 shots in a row, all of them saved with some power from Potomac. This one finally makes it all the way down to Fanshawe's territory. Bit of connections, though. Fanshawe wants to get the counterattack, but they lose possession. And this one might be the shot off the backboard, just barely high. Fanshawe still have some gas in the tank.
I mean, they've got so much gas left. They are absolutely going full throttle right now, but the unfortunate truth is, and this is something we hinted at earlier, Potomac needed a wake-up call on defense. They found the wake-up call on defense, and not only that, they started just absolutely playing phenomenally. The amount of saves that they have pulled off out of nowhere, and then they turned it into goals like this, is why they are potentially going to win this series in a 3-0 sweep. Again, single double commit is all that it takes, and immediately they pounce.
One of the things I want to talk about, too, here that could have been a game-ruining play if the comms hadn't been clean for Potomac is Goldfood was already in position there to cherry-pick that one away. He was waiting offsides. But when Rod says, I've got this, I've got time, Goldfood backs off, doesn't approach the ball, and it's a huge opportunity. And sure, you're already ahead on Potomac, but those are the kind of plays, those are the kind of calls that you need to have, or else you're just going to break up an easy goal.
100%. You need to make sure that you are in sync with all of your teammates that are on the pitch, because if you guys are not playing as a team, it's basically just chaos all over, and we don't want to see chaos. We want to see a strategic game like we're seeing right now, and that's kind of the difference right now. Fanshawe have been trying to play up to the speed of Potomac. Meanwhile, Potomac have been setting the pace and setting the tone for this series. Potomac are probably about 30 seconds away from finishing this one off. Fanshawe, they still have a chance, but they need to break out of their half and turn this into an efficient offense, which is something they have struggled with this entire series.
Absolutely. This efficient offense for Fanshawe has been their downfall. They've been able to put pressure out, but it's not extremely efficient. It's just the ball floating in this last third, staying away from shooting lanes, never able to really find the middle of the field in a way that's threatening. So there's the shots that come out, but they're all so easy to block. They're never stretching the defense, and that is the reason why Potomac are going to come away with this series 3-0 and move on to play against St. Clair.
Yeah, they took a very definitive win here, not only in the series, but in this final game as well. After not allowing Fanshawe to score the entire game, Fanshawe broke open with the first goal of this game, and then 3 unanswered from Potomac. They really were able to just dominate throughout this entire game, this entire series, and unfortunately for Fanshawe, even when they were starting to find those little bit of weaknesses in Potomac, when they were starting to find the key to victory, just one error, and immediately all of that was erased.
But I mean, we've really got to give credit, because Potomac taking 2 games in a sweep, like not a single goal let by, and I think that this was it 13 or 14 points scored by Potomac in 3 games. That scoreline is absolutely incredible.
I mean, they dominated on offense. That was one of the biggest things about this entire thing, is if you gave them the chance on offense, all of a sudden they just run with it. And that was one of the biggest things that we've not only said that we need to see out of teams at this level, but just really any team in the NECC, is that when you have that opportunity on offense, you make the most of it. And that is exactly what Potomac did here today.
And even then, Potomac's defense as well was absolutely stellar. I'm looking at the Fanshawe stats. They had, I want to say, 10 shots in that game, of which 9 were saved. But all of that was that huge exchange where we had those 4 consecutive shots out of Fanshawe, all of which were blocked and turned into a counterattack. Phenomenal gameplay, absolutely high level, but at the same time, we can't just talk about this all day as much as I would love to. We're going to have to go to a quick little break. We're going to have to give credit where credit is due to the people who make this possible, and then we will come back and talk to the folks at Potomac about what made this possible. So stay tuned.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
Welcome back, everybody, to the NECC Rocket League playoffs. My name is Bass in the Past, and join alongside me one more time is Staged. Staged, we just had a phenomenal series, which did not go the distance like we were hoping for. Unfortunately, it only went in a 3-0 sweep, but one team is going to be pretty happy about that. Potomac State taking the 3-0 over Fanshawe. And, well, they might have some words to say for it. We're going to try and get one of those players into the booth real quick and have a couple words for him. This was I'll say this. It was a very impressive performance for Potomac, despite the fact that Fanshawe didn't necessarily live up to, well, the expectations we might have had.
At the same time, though, Rocket League is a manner of opposition. If one team is just absolutely cracked, if they're popping off, if they're having the game of their life, it doesn't matter who you're against, they're going to look substantially worse for it. So I'm of the opinion that this was, with Goldfood in the booth, I'm going to give him a little bit of credit. This was Goldfood and team having a phenomenal performance, as opposed to Fanshawe underperforming.
100%. And as Sage just said, welcome Goldfood to the booth. Goldfood, how are you doing after that 3-0 victory?
I'm feeling good. Feeling really good.
I'm glad to hear that. You guys put on a stellar performance, as Sage was saying. Definitely, Fanshawe didn't necessarily live up to some of the expectations the players might have had for themselves, but unfortunately, at the end of the day, there is only one winner. Unfortunately for you guys, it is your team. Potomac do take a very definitive victory. And a lot of the reason, at least in my opinion, that you guys did so well on the pitch is that you started recognizing how much, I'd say, efficiency you had on offense. It felt like if you guys broke into your opponent's half, you were scoring a goal. I gotta wonder, were you guys starting to recognize that towards the end of the series? Because I just saw shot after shot after shot and pass after pass after pass connect.
Honestly, yeah, everything just kind of clicked. Everything just lined up. They kept setting each other up, and then we just took our shots.
That makes a lot of sense, too, because, Rocket League is the kind of thing where you don't always get the opportunity of, building a strategy out ahead of time. You'd have to play it by feel a lot. Now, the upcoming team that you guys are going to be playing in the semifinals is a team that you've played before in the regular season. It was an extreme set. It's St. Clair. Is this the kind of team that you have put some thought into and that you've been specifically targeting because the bracket's been known for so long?
Not really. I've just been focusing on my own gameplay and just making sure I can play the best that I possibly can.
That makes sense. And I feel like that's the kind of mentality that a lot of Rocket League players have, because in the end, it only does you so much good if, you figure out the exact science behind the opposing team if you can't do the gameplay that you need. So in that sense, then, let's talk about your teammates and the way that you guys operate. I know that it does come down to individual mechanics, but would you say that there's a element of chemistry that you've built up over the season?
Yeah, definitely. We've played so much together that we know each other's habits, so we're just able to play off each other really well.
100%. I think that you guys do a great job of playing with all three players really having that sort of, I'd say, set, not necessarily set role, but a role that they sort of adapt to. Are you guys sort of aware of that, or is that just sort of something that happens in game per game? Because I believe at a certain point there were 3 goals being scored. You either had all the assists or you had all the goals. Meanwhile, your teammate in Rots had either all the assists or all the goals as well. And Azuro was just kind of that lonesome man in the back half who was making sure to control midfield. Is that something you guys are aware of, or is just sort of, that is what happens to happen?
Honestly, it just happens that way. We just try to fill in whatever is lacking.
Is there, could you describe to me, I guess, some of the dynamic or the way that these teammates have as opposed to some of your pubs or some of the other people that you might party up with? Could you talk to me about the dynamic that you guys have a little bit? I know that's kind of difficult, but
it all comes down to just we've played together a lot, and we figured our comms out very well, so it's nice and short, I'm up, and it's just very simple and easy to understand, so it's very easy to play off of that.
That's one of the things that I noticed in your guys' play. Again, we've talked about it being clean and everything, but I commented at one point that you guys had absolutely 0 double commits that I saw. So I think that the comms that you're talking about, the cleanliness of everything, and just being able to keep things clean, that turned into a phenomenal win, and I'm hoping that we can see the same thing against St. Clair. So before we let you go, or if Bass has anything, do you have any words for some of the people who may have been watching you?
I hope you enjoyed the show.
I love to hear it. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, in sort of a slightly different light, anyone you want to give shout outs to? Anybody that, may have been watching that you want to say hello to specifically?
Shout out to my girlfriend, Maddie. She's always been supporting me.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. All right. Well, we will let you go, GoFood. Go celebrate with your team and have some fun with you guys. You deserve it for a victory like that. Hopefully, we will have another chance to interview you guys next time after a win, but we will have to see. I wish you luck in the rest of the playoffs, my friend.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
You as well. All right, Stage. Well, unfortunately, as we've been saying all day, all good things must come to an end. And, well, one more time, it's going to happen that way. I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to leave you guys in the very capable hands of Stage Games, as well as another familiar face here at the NECC in Grant CFO. But that will be when we return. We're going to go to another really quick break. And once we are done, we will be back with even more Rocket League action. We will see you guys in just a couple of moments.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.